Hey everyone, Mr. Dempsey here. This is a guide for round 10 of the Nations Cup. Let's get this started. Eventually, you're going to want to go to the right side of the track as your first braking point is just before the 100-meter mark. When you're exiting the turn, make sure your car is pointing the way you want it to go, because once you start to fully accelerate, the battery will kick in and you won't be able to steer much. Once again, go to the right side of the track and brake after the 50-meter mark. Trail brake through these two turns, and for the second turn right here, get the car pointing where you want it to go before you start to fully accelerate. Look for the second to last PlayStation sign on the right as you will brake before you pass it, and this is a bit of a long and drawn out turn, so you'll need to trail brake quite a bit before you start to fully accelerate. Before you pass the 100-meter sign, you will need to brake, as this will give you just enough space to be able to hit the apex, and make sure you get nice, close and personal with the wall that is on your left. Point the car towards where you want it to go and start to fully accelerate. This next part's a little tricky, so what you want to do is ease off the throttle as you start to turn, and don't start to fully accelerate until you are nearly done with it. Then brake before you pass the 100-meter sign, as you want to give yourself just enough space to hit the apex and not overshoot it like how I did. Point your car towards where you want it to go one last time and start to fully accelerate. Take this turn very gently and you are good to go. Let's go ahead and talk about the strategies. When it comes to the strategies, the first thing you want to do is make sure you survive. The reason why I say that is because there are lots of narrow parts of this track, so it's going to be a bit difficult to initiate an overtake. The other part is because we're talking about Group 1 cars, so they rely a lot on downforce. Whenever you're behind someone, you're not going to have the downforce you need to make turns, so you're going to end up scrubbing your tires. And if you're going faster, so like going through this part of the track, you need to make sure you brake a lot earlier than you think, as it's going to be a little easy to brake a little bit late and end up giving the guy ahead of you a nice little punt. And last but not least, whenever you're behind someone, you need to slow down for this part right here, as I found out the very hard way. I ended up understeering into the wall, took out a poor soul with me, and yeah, I have a feeling that this race is going to be very messy. There are two cars that are very notable for this race. The first one is a Porsche 919 hybrid. This car has great acceleration. When the battery kicks in, you'll be flying off of the low speed turns, but at the cost of steering. You won't be able to steer much whenever the hybrid battery is kicking in, and overall it's a bit more understeery. The other car that's also useful is a Toyota TS050. This one is also a hybrid. It understeers a little bit less, but at the cost of some acceleration, but it's still a very good car. With the 919, you want to try to fuel save as much as you can, so shift when the bar is about to be 50% full or even before that. Whereas with the Toyota TS050, you don't need to worry too much about fuel saving, but just make sure you do that just in case. Now with the tires, don't forget that racing hard tires are required. But when it comes to deciding when you want to pit, there is something that you need to consider. One is no one ahead of you for a significant amount of time. Two is someone ahead of you for a significant amount of time. And by that I mean is someone within 1.5 seconds or less ahead of you. The reason why I say that is because whenever the gap between you and the car ahead of you is between 0 and 1.5 seconds, you're going to be picking up their slipstream, and with that, you're not going to be getting the downforce that you need to go through some of these turns. And because of that, you're going to be scrubbing your tires a lot more, increasing its tire wear. And if you end up in that situation for a significant amount of time, then you might want to think about going with the second strategy, where you pit on over to medium tires on round lap 7 or 8, then pit on over to racing hard tires during laps 14 or 15. You can do a modified version of the first strategy where you just pit on lap 7 and use racing hard tires for the rest of the race, but I mean, that's something to think about. And once again, it's all going to depend on how long you end up behind someone. And last but not least, when it comes to fuel, once again, try to fuel save as much as you can. But if you absolutely end up using a lot of your fuel, then you will have to end up refueling. But anyways, that is all for this guide. This race is going to be a little chaotic, so if you end up attending this race, I wish you all the best of luck. I'm going to sign off now, so this is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.